Good morning, everybody. As we start off today, I want to give you this latest outlook from the National Weather Service on where we have hazardous weather across the country. And most of the action, of course, is in the western United States, where there's still a very sizable ridge in place across the west. So we have the excessive heat warning still in place throughout California's Central Valley, including temperatures being set here in the Sacramento Valley that are breaking all-time records due to the size of this ridge and the heat that's underneath it. But we've also seen extensive risk of wildfire stretching across several states in the west here and getting into the plains, and that's what you see here in the red flag warning. Now, yesterday on satellite, you can see the extent of the smoke kind of curling around this upper level ridge that's sitting in place here. And over the next probably 36 hours or so, we're going to have to be watching for some very strong storms that could come through this area, producing quite a bit of lightning and possibly inducing even more forest fires. So this is a pretty serious situation across the west. The Storm Prediction Center, which also includes their fire outlook, has everything from those isolated storms that could be severe but produce a lot of lightning to the extreme fire threat you see that's in parts of Montana where the winds will be getting very, very strong as this large front approaches later this week. In fact, it'll be there approaching tomorrow. But they just upgraded, the Storm Prediction Center just upgraded the risk of severe storms and have now included 2 large regions where they've now got a slight risk for severe storms today. So let's go ahead and have a quick look at the high-res NAM model to kind of get an idea on the timing of these storms. So let's take you back here through the day on Wednesday. So while we still see isolated storms coming around this low, producing some very heavy rains right into this part of Virginia, Delaware, getting into Maryland, and some isolated storms that kind of stretch back through much of the southeast getting here. Very isolated. What we're keeping an eye on tonight is going to be the storms that race right into this area. So strong upper level flow around the ridge, excuse me, storms that are popping on the mountains and then running quickly across this area of Oregon, Idaho, getting into Montana. Now you also see at the end of this animation where Hurricane K is coming along the Baja. We're going to have a discussion about where Hurricane K is going here at the end of this briefing this morning. But I want to point out that the change that's coming on Thursday with this front that's wrapped up around a low that's in the Hudson Bay is going to be significant in terms of temperatures and possibly introduce some stronger to severe storms into this area. Now, what's interesting about that front is as it pushes farther to the south on Friday, getting into Saturday here, well, this is really just through Friday afternoon, we're expecting quite a bit more rain out of this than initially anticipated. And it's going to combine with an upper level low that's spinning over parts of the lower Mississippi River Valley here on Friday. That's going to produce some pretty wet conditions across a broader area compared to previous runs. But you can actually see the position of that front by looking here at the high resolution rapid refresh forecast for vertically integrated smoke. So watch here. As we go forward in the forecast into tomorrow, see the smoke getting pressed farther to the south? That is the position of that front. So it's going to spread the smoke east with time as the front slides through here, delivering a big shot at some cooler air. Let me show what I'm talking about. Today, hot and very windy, and this is what's given us the high-risk situation in parts of Montana. But this goes from Wednesday into Thursday. Significant cool down in the high temperatures, over 30 degrees, while the heat presses out ahead of it and stays throughout the western parts of California. We then get into Friday's temperatures. We may see upwards of a 40 to 50 degree swing in just high temperatures alone in parts of Montana. And I'll show you the lows in a second as this front slices through on Saturday into Sunday through the central United States. Notice the warm up that happens behind this by Monday into Tuesday as the cooler air presses on to the east. But take a look at these overnight lows. So here's the overnight lows. Well, we saw these temperatures this morning. This is Thursday's overnight lows, and here we go. There's Friday, getting into Saturday and Sunday. So we're going to see a lot of low temperatures here in the 40s, maybe even down into mid 30s in parts of Wyoming. So no early frost threat with this for the plains here, but just want to show you the temperatures are getting kind of cool here. Now, probably the more significant updates in terms of precipitation kind of come from all 3 of these components. The front, as it sags down through here, has increased in the latest model runs rainfall from Wisconsin back to Nebraska. Also seen better rains that are coming into parts of Montana. Hurricane K is still expected to deliver moisture into parts of the southwest, including California, Nevada, and Arizona. With this upper level low that's sitting here that's going to move, well, it's really going to move more in this direction. Out ahead of it, quite a bit of moisture getting pulled here, which is going to be important given these areas like in the Carolinas and Virginia, and then a large section of the Midwest here that are still very dry compared to normal when you go down to about 40 centimeters or 16 inches in the soil moisture. So if we look at the new kind of ensemble stats, this is what we're looking at in terms of the chances of getting at least an inch of rain through the next 10 days. So those probabilities have really improved in this area over yesterday's model runs, but they're still quite high out ahead of that upper level low. And I just have to say this, we do need to be on the lookout for some locally very heavy rainfall in Southern California should K make it pretty far to the north here. Let's see what the latest European forecast suggests about all these components. So as we go through Wednesday here into Thursday, and now let's get it right out there to Friday morning. There's the main position, or the position of the main front that's coming through. There's K. Earl is out here. And we're going to watch the moisture really start to pull out of the Gulf as we go from Friday into Saturday and then into Sunday. So let's stop this Sunday morning. Here's our front. Here's the upper level low drawing the moisture out ahead of it. And K currently is sitting here, but we could be watching this Saturday and Sunday for moisture from K to get into Southern California. By the way, the GFS model is much more aggressive on bringing the path of K farther to the north than the European. But as we look out here Sunday night and Monday morning, we see the precipitation wrapping around that upper level low before moving on off to the north and east. It's going to be after this time period, getting out there to maybe the 15th through the 18th, that I'm going to keep a close eye on a change in this pattern. So what we're going to watch here, in fact, let's get the 0-0 run so we can get out there to 10 days and beyond. Here we go. Notice that out there on the 15th, 16th, and 17th, the models continue to kind of advertise a broader trough across the west. So this certainly brings in the cooler weather, but it's going to increase the chances of a storm system coming through here that could bring much more rainfall to parts of the Pacific Northwest, from Montana to Idaho and then farther to the south, while we could have a drier stretch of days from Texas over to North Carolina following this. So that's going to be something we're going to watch out for very carefully right around the time we start officially start fall. So to finish this up, let's talk about temperatures very quickly here. And what we're going to be looking at is that 5-day sliding window of temperatures. So what you'll notice here is the cool down in the midsection of the country is relatively short-lived. We bring in warmer conditions as we get out there fully into the 3rd week of the month. And the cooler weather you see at the end of this for California and the west is primarily due to that trough that shows up in place here. So heat will come back to the plains, but we'll see a trough developing in the west, which could really spark another active storm system. Lastly, I do want to finish up with a bit on the tropics. Earl, is forecast to do this. Danielle, it's got a very interesting track, but it's going to eventually head in this direction. But there are 2 new waves that we're going to keep a close eye on. And the latest forecast data for that, in fact, let's go to Forecast Genesis. I want to see the track density. I apologize. Let's try this again. There we go. We're watching a wave that just came off that could make its way toward the Lesser Antilles. We have the wave that's ahead of it that's expected to turn just like this. So we're still watching this second wave as it could approach the Lesser Antilles about 10 days from now. But this is right now all we've got brewing out in the Atlantic Ocean. It's going to really be the Pacific that we're going to watch carefully, and that's where K is. If you get a chance to read the report, I do give a discussion about this upcoming winter forecast for the West and what it means to redevelop a subtropical component of the jet. We've not seen that for quite some time, which is what's led California to such a very dry year so far. In fact, the Central Valley is having its driest year on record, and those records go back 130 years. So be sure to read that in the report, and I'll leave you off here. Thank you.